take a moment to think about your wedding day. I imagine the girls already have their dresses come to mind. I'm sure the sun is shining, there's birds singing in the air, everyone you love is around you, and you're about to make the lifelong commitment to the person of your dreams. When do most of you think of this happening? I'd imagine probably sometime in your 20s or 30s. But did you know that children as young as 12 can still get married in the United States? Maybe that's bothersome to you in and of itself, but more than that, these child marriages are often forced marriages, and they're taking place right here in our own country. Today I'm going to show you some of the detrimental effects of these marriages, as well as the policies that allow for them to take place, and some ways that you can act to make a difference. So, when you think of child marriage, you probably think of India or the Middle East or somewhere, some developing country somewhere, but it actually does take place here in the United States. The minimum age to get married across the board in the U.S. is 18, but some 48 states allow exceptions that allow for minors to get married before they reach their 18th birthday. This means that these children are able to get married before they can even vote. In fact, 18 of these states have no minimum age whatsoever specified for these kids to get married as long as there is judicial approval or parental consent. So how this kind of works out, those are the two main ways that these exceptions are allowed, and judicial consent often takes place as well. But a lot of times these judges are probate judges, and they don't even hold law degrees in all cases. So for example, a couple years ago in South Carolina, in the county that I'm from, there was a marriage license granted for a 14-year-old girl to marry a 32-year-old man. And the judge saw no problem with it because the law allowed it. Another way that this takes place is through parental approval, which a lot of times isn't even approval. People who are being forced into these child marriages sometimes face honor violations. Their family will disown them if they don't move forward. They could be part of a cult or some religious group where this is the norm, and they really do feel like they have no other options. But even if this is the case, if they're standing there in front of a clerk's office applying for a marriage license and their parent is there to sign on the line, there's nothing that the clerk can do, even if the child who will be married is openly sobbing in front of them. So you might be wondering just how many of these child marriages really take place. Well, statistics show that between 2000 and 2010, there were about 248,000 estimated child marriages to take place. It's an estimate because a lot of states don't even keep a record of what age people are when they apply for a marriage license. So some of it is up to a certain level of interpretation. And these 18 states aren't just, the southern conservative states like South Carolina. Even California does not have a minimum age for marriage. And there was some legislation introduced earlier this year that was eventually watered down to the point that it would pass, and it was ultimately ineffective. So this really is a widespread issue, but it's gaining some standing over the past couple years. So you might be wondering, okay, what's so bad about this? Is it really that big of an issue? Well, it's actually considered to be a human rights violation by the U.S. State Department. So there are so many detrimental effects to this that it really does end up hurting people long term. What are some effects of this, you might ask? And when you think about this, I don't want you to picture like a Romeo and Juliet star-crossed lovers type of situation where they are just so in love and meant to be, and it's going to be forever because they're soulmates, and some Superman judge sweeps in and saves the day to let them have a lasting relationship. These are actually 77% of these marriages would have been considered statutory rape based on the age difference between the two. So this is not at all like a good thing. It is a loophole for statutory rape, and it makes something that's twisted and wrong seem acceptable and normal when you slap the title of husband and wife on it. And so some of these effects have the most unbelievable long-term detrimental lasting impacts. So these are associated with domestic violence. There's also isolation, non-consensual pregnancy, rape, and the list goes on and on. Research has shown that these are tied to it. There's also kind of a big three things that are associated with this. There is decreased levels of mental health. There's also a lower education level for those who participate in a child marriage, and it's also proven to be a predictor of future poverty. So all across the board, any way you spin it, this is completely detrimental to these women. And so now you might be asking, what can I even do about this? Well, there's plenty of things you can do. First and foremost would be to try and change the legislation. We are at kind of an interesting point in the year because most state legislatures have adjourned for the time as they are out of the holidays for session. But you're still able to contact your congressmen and women. And if you don't know how to do that, there's this really powerful tool called Resist Spot, and you can send them a text to this number. You can just text Congress and they'll ask for your address. You can send them your home address, or we all have an address here at Pepperdine that you can use. And then it will tell you who your legislators are. You text back the message that you'd like to send to them, and they will either fax it to them or mail it to them on your behalf. Completely free. They advertise it as taking less than 2 minutes. If you don't know what to say, I have a template that I can send you. Another thing that you can do is, as I've been doing some research on this, I came across an organization called Unchained at Last. And what they do is not only act to advocate for policy, but they also help women who have been a part of arranged marriages rebuild their lives. So they accept volunteers from all different walks of life. Financial advisors come in and help them get their finances in order. Lawyers come in pro bono and help get them out of these marriages. They also have psychologists that work with them to kind of get things back in order. So basically, any skill you have, anything you could be able to offer could be of assistance to them. But more than that, they also work in doing protests with something called chain-in. So how this works is they go get all dressed up in a wedding dress, of course, because what better way to protest, outside of some state assembly or legislature place like that. And they draw attention to the fact because most people are appalled by it, they just don't know what it is. So you can participate in a chain-in. There aren't any scheduled in the near future in Los Angeles, but there are plenty taking place in the spring, and you can even have people donate old wedding dresses if you aren't able to participate. But finally, most importantly, what you can do is you can talk about this, because most people have absolutely no idea that this could possibly be taking place in the United States, and they're always appalled to find it out. And when we do make this effort, when we try to make a change, we support women, we pave the way for human rights, and we can help to see a new way forward. This is not how things should be, and it's not how they have to be. In summary, we've seen today all the different ways that these policies are hurting people, how they're enacted, what their effects are, and ways that we can make a difference. So now we must simply act. And to close, I would like to just leave you guys with one last quote by Frederick Douglass. And he says, "Where justice is denied, where poverty is enforced, where ignorance prevails, and where any one class is made to feel that society is an organized conspiracy to oppress, rob, and degrade them, neither persons nor property will be safe."
Finished.
Agree.
Yes. The cards are perfect. All right. So, Adi, how excited are you about this opportunity? Yeah. About a 7. Okay. So you're getting there, but not quite there yet, huh? Okay. Well, everybody's back. So, anything going on this week that's interesting? Last day of pledge. Okay, and then it's all done. Hallelujah. So, do you think this will be an eventful day since it's your last one? You know, they have some things planned for you? Okay. It doesn't involve the ocean or anything like that, does it? Okay, good. Okay, just wondering. All right, good. Well, hopefully that goes off well. All right, you ready?